I owe a lot of what I've done career-wise in my life to my skills in negotiation. I am a good negotiator mostly, and I feel that I can actually talk in a way that I can have my things my way. Like I could convince the other person, and this is about the pro level of convincing, where you are talking in order to convince somebody that the thing that you're suggesting makes sense for both of you. Remember, in business as in life, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. It is about bringing your point forward and not in a way that feels you're defending yourself. Rather, you're suggesting something that's good for both the parties that are involved in that negotiation. In this video, I'm going to break down some of the most powerful negotiation tactics from experts. Techniques that not only help you persuade ethically, but also to defend yourself when others try to sway you. Whether it's for work, friendships, or everyday situations, you'll learn strategies to influence outcomes, reach fair agreements, and feel in control during negotiations. I can suggest a great book on this topic, and you can look it up on Amazon or Google anywhere. Never Split the Difference. Negotiating as if your life depended on it, by Chris Voss. And also want to share with you the key lessons through this video. So that is what we are going to be doing. I'm going to bring you scoops of this book along with the tactics that I have for you. So they're going to be a 4-step process, very well thought out, and some really brilliant points. Along with that, I get you some scoops from the book that I just mentioned. It's a great book, highly rated. If you really wanna do some business study and learn these things in the right way and not from the wrong sources, then I highly recommend that you go through this book once. So negotiating is not about splitting things 50-50. So what is negotiation about then? Let me give you a few examples and you'll be able to understand. So imagine there are two men who are arguing. One wants the AC, the air conditioner in the room, to be on because it's hot for him. The other one wants it off because it's cold for him. So now what happens is a third person comes in and he puts it on a reasonable temperature, let's say 24, with low fan speed, providing air circulation and cool breeze, both at the same time. So what happens is that both parties win. Another example. Two people want to share a cake but can't agree on how to divide it fairly, because mostly when you cut a cake, one piece is smaller than the other. It's like visible to your eyes. Regardless of how you cut it, they will both complain that the other side got a bigger piece. So what do? Well, you ask one person to cut the cake and you ask the other person to choose first. So if I and you were fighting on it, maybe I get to cut the cake and you get to choose the side first. That way, when I'm cutting the cake, I'll be more careful because I know that you have to choose first. Since the other person knows that the other person is going to pick first, he will split it evenly to avoid getting a smaller piece. Okay. One last example, and this is amazing, and I'm going to be using this example going forward in the video, so listen carefully. Two kids argue over a lemon. Okay, now this is an example that you will find in a lot of places that discuss negotiation because it's a common example. I was doing my research and found it really interesting, so decided to take it up in this video. Okay, so there are two kids who are arguing over a lemon. The parent, wanting to be fair, cuts the lemon in half and hands each child one half. One kid squeezes the lemon, okay, and gets the juice to make lemonade, throwing the peel away, while the other grates the peel to use it in a recipe, discarding the juice. So what's happening here is that one child is using the juice part, the other child is using the peel part. Now, if the parent had simply asked why they needed the lemon, one child could have had all the juice and the other could have gotten all the peel, giving each kid 100% of what they wanted instead of just half. So what happened here is that half of each of these lemons got wasted when both the kids actually wanted different parts of the lemon. As you can see from these examples, negotiation is about finding a solution that leaves both sides happy without hurting the relationship. So how do you do it? How do you find those wise and practical solutions like the ones we just saw? So in all these three examples that we discussed about the air conditioner example, the lemon, the cake. All these three examples, what happened was that a solution was suggested in a way that both the parties benefited from it. This is what negotiation is about. Finding out a practical solution to a problem that both parties could mutually agree on. Both parties in any given scenario are more anxious to agree than disagree. So here's a first step framework that will make you a smarter negotiator. Step number 1 is what we're going to start with. Focus on the interest, not the win. Remember the story where two people were arguing over the air conditioner in the room? Problem here is that people focus too much on their win. Instead of arguing about who gets their way, shift your focus to interest. If he gets his way, I'm losing. If you carry this mindset, it's gonna get difficult because this way your focus is not on the interest of the parties. Rather, you're focusing too much on the ego of the people involved. The benefits of focusing on interest are obvious. Everyone benefits, but doing it can be hard because winning is clear. Either I win or you win. And it's not about who benefits. It's all about whether he listened to me or I listened to him. And I'm not going to listen. He has to listen. And that is why you cannot arrive on an agreement. Interests might be hidden or unclear. So how do you find the interest of the other side? Try to see things from their point of view. Why would they want the air conditioner off or the lemon? Why are they asking for it? Or why they feel alone in a relationship, or they feel they are underpaid in a job, or reluctant to move to a new city. Once you discover their underlying interests, talk about them openly with those people. So this is my step number 1 going on for you. People listen better if they feel understood. They think those who understand them are smart and kind because I am smart. If somebody understands me, that person has to be smart. And if that person is smart, okay, I can listen to him. And if that person is agreeing with me or understanding me better, he's kind to me. So when you understand someone, they get an image of you being smart and kind. Of course, you need to communicate your interest as well. The other side might not know them, so you have to tell them what you want. As you know, communication is a two-way road. You could ensure they feel heard by using the mirroring technique. Now, this is something that I picked from the book. Repeating the critical parts of what someone just said. So you want to make them understand that you are listening to them, you get their point. So if they say something, they mention an issue, they say, I want the air conditioner off because I'm feeling cold. So you repeat it after them, oh, you're feeling cold. So this is how you tell them that you're listening to them. This shows active listening and helps build rapport. Alright, moving on to step number 2. You have to be fair. Fairness is protecting not just you, but everybody who's involved in that negotiation. You want a lower price for a second-hand car, the seller wants more. Set an objective criteria to decide. Objective criteria are unbiased rules that don't depend on personal opinions. Now you're looking at stats, now you're looking at numbers, you're looking at what's going on in the world. You're deciding on a foundation on which you're going to decide what is going to happen in that contract. So examples of this can be maybe market prices, legal requirements, some experts' opinions, or maybe just fair standards that you both agree on. In negotiation, people have a natural urge to disagree because they feel you're demanding or you win if they agree. But if you say, let's look at the rules or the regulations that are involved in this business, what happens is that it shifts the focus from what you want to what the rules say. So now they are not listening to you, rather they are listening to the rules that govern that issue. Suddenly, it's not you demanding it, but the rules. For example, if your house is under renovation and there's a house renovation contract that doesn't specify the material of wood that has to be used, and the contractor suggests a cheaper alternative, which a lot of time happens, while you think of a higher standard wood, now both of you are arguing, but what you have to do is you don't have to compromise. Instead say, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the material you're suggesting is fine in our agreed price. But I looked up the common practice these days and the quality that you're using or suggesting is outdated and isn't widely used anymore. And durability is a concern for me. So please, why don't you understand my point? Rather, before you start, figure out some fair standards together with the other party. For example, say you want a high price and I want a low one. Let's figure out what a fair price would be. What standards should be used? So when you're starting a contract, you figure out the standards right in the beginning rather than discussing on them later and having fights over it. So you discuss the standards beforehand. Okay, so this is the standard that we are going to be following. By focusing on fair standards, you can maybe turn a clash of interest into a shared goal. Now, both of you have a common goal, and that is to follow the standards. So you're not disagreeing with each other, you're not fighting over it, rather you're working with each other on solving this issue on which wood type has to be used in your house. Now, step number 3. Work together to create a mutually beneficial arrangement. Separate the brainstorming from the selection session. Okay, so what you have to do is first brainstorm. Then select from the options that come up from that brainstorming. And at the end, work on improving the chosen ideas. So you brainstorm, you select a few ideas, and then after that, you work on improving those ideas together. So instead of splitting it 50-50, they could have found a way where both parties get to keep 100% of what they wanted. Like both kids could have used the lemon to the full potential instead of splitting it into halves. One kid could have used the juice, the other kid could have used the peel. So how do you do this? Such that both parties get to benefit, both mutually agree because there's a mutual gain. So here's how you do it. Simply get together with your side and with the other side and brainstorm about all the possible solutions. Aim for responses where the other person says, "That's right," so that they feel understood. So this is something I picked from Voss's book. He says that, and it really made sense to me, and that is why it's here on the video. So when you're speaking to somebody and you're in a negotiation, instead of focusing on receiving a yes from them, how about you focus on receiving a "that's right" from them? So when they say "that's right," subconsciously it gives them a feeling that they are being understood. It's easy to say yes, but when you say "that's right," there is a certain sense of relief in that person who's saying "that's right." So coming back, what he wants to say here is that aim at receiving "that's right" as your response from that person, rather than receiving just a yes. "Oh, I just hope he agrees to me." That is also okay, but "that's right" is better. You get it. This phrase is more powerful than a simple yes, as it reflects genuine agreement. You must let the ideas flow freely, okay? Don't judge or pick any of the ideas in the first stage. Choose a few participants for brainstorming. Change the environment. So when you choose participants, what you're doing is you're changing the environment of tension, of stress, and you're actually moving together with that person in a direction where a resolution is possible. So change the environment. Do not make it into a competition. Rather, a common problem on which everyone is working. Define the purpose so that everybody feels relaxed and there's no stress and tension. You could follow the no strategy here. Again, this is from the book that I told you about. Encourage the other person to say no rather than yes. It sounds a little awkward here, but believe me, it has sense. Let me explain. Saying no makes people feel in control, which can make them more open to dialogue. They're ready to talk to you more. After brainstorming, start with the most promising ideas. It's simple. Discuss ways to improve them. People often assume differences in negotiation create problems. It's actually not true. It's actually these differences that can lead to creative solutions. Remember the lemon example? A wise solution was possible because each side wanted different parts of the lemon. It's absurd to think your differences lead to the problem. Sometimes communication is what is lacking, because of which you do not get to benefit the most from a scenario. Okay, moving on to step number 4. This is to separate people from the problem. There is a person and then there is a problem. Look at these two differently. Draw a line. You need both the person and the problem. See, you already have a problem. Your house needs renovation. Problem is that you cannot do it without a guy helping you with it. Your problem is genuine. You need a guy. So basically, you need both. Okay? You are there in that scenario together. Now, what happens is that I need an understanding that can work here. So what I need in this scenario is this to work out, for my house to be renovated, and in a way that I get to keep relationship with this person also, because this is not the last time you need them. You might need them again. Always put the person first and the problem second. Negotiators are people first. Remember that. Your goal in negotiation is to be soft on the person but hard on the problem. I learned it somewhere and I live by it, so I'm sharing this with you. So what we need in any situation is to be soft on the person and hard on the problem. Often what happens is that we are soft on the person, so we end up being soft on the problem, or the other way around. Because we are hard on the problem, we end up being hard on the person. Both scenarios are wrong. It should be soft on the person, hard on the problem. Remember that. Soft on the person, hard on the problem. How can you do that? So when the work is on, complement the effort whenever you can. Do accusation audit. Accusation audit, what is that? Again, this is from the book. Address potential criticisms upfront. So you feel that this is a negative that may be highlighted by the other party. Don't wait for them to mention. You bring it up by anticipating what the other side might say or feel negatively about. You can diffuse objections before they become barriers. Be watchful of your emotions when you do this. So be careful with your words. Your anger, your frustration can block agreement as well. So be careful of your own side also. Do not just focus on how they are going to react or what they are going to say. Be careful of your own emotions also. You need reminders to revisit the people with their problems. Your perceptions may be one-sided and you might not be listening or communicating effectively. People have different viewpoints. Their egos are easily threatened. We know that. They see the world from their perspective, and what happens is they confuse their perceptions with truth or reality. And we cannot deny the truth that words fail us all. Very often, people fail to communicate their true intentions, or they misinterpret your words. Remember, you must deal not only with their problems but also with your own. And that is why you get to solve the problems. One of the best ways to prevent people's problems is by building a relationship with the other side before the negotiation starts. So negotiating with someone you know is easier than a stranger. Get to know their likes, their dislikes. Okay? These informal interactions make future negotiations a lot easier. Studies have time and again shown that simply getting to know each other's side increases the success rate greatly. But what happens if the other side is playing mind games? Or what if they are more authoritative? Or what if they start getting personal? What do you do then? So you are playing by fair rules. You're doing your best, but you do not feel the same coming from the other side. You're like, they are playing mind games on me, or they're just fooling me. See, people lie and use various pressure tactics. We are aware of that. So you could just recognize these tricks and neutralize them. Mention it to their face. You observe they are doing something to you. Just tell them, are you doing this to me? Are you acting cute with me? You could make use of labeling here. What is labeling? Labeling is using phrases like, it seems like you're praising me for no reason. Or, it sounds like you're delaying the task unnecessarily. Please ask your doubts. So, if somebody is acting cute with you because they want you to agree with them or because they want to have their way with you, just tell them, are you acting cute with me? By recognizing what they're doing to you on their face, it disarms them and they'll be more careful. They would stop playing those mind games with you. I could give you another example, and it's an easy one. I feel you're praising me unnecessarily. Because people praise others to make them like them. So I feel you're praising me unnecessarily. If you need time to think about this, just ask. But you must do it by avoiding personal attacks. Be careful of that. Focus on the problem, not the person. Again, reminding you. Instead of saying, you've outnumbered me with so many people from your side attacking me, why don't you just say, I think I should have a couple of more people to help answer your team's concerns. So, talking more constructively in a more positive way. Can we adjust the schedule and meet later? It will be better for both of us. And now what happens if they are more powerful than you? Because then you are not in a very good situation. You're negotiating with somebody who is more powerful. If the other side has big artillery, if they have big guns, don't turn the negotiation into a gunfight, because you're of course losing if that happens. The best thing you can do is develop your BATNA. BATNA is a well-recognized term. It means best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Let me give you an example of BATNA, you'll understand better. Think of how you would feel walking into a job interview with Google with no other offers. You have no other job offers. You only have Google in front of you and you really want that job. Think how difficult the salary negotiation would go. You'll have no control whatsoever. So now you already have a job offer from Tata and you're walking into an interview with Google. So you already have an offer. Your salary negotiation is going to be far much better. This is something that I have first-hand experienced. So I'll give you a personal example from my life. I had a job offer from Infosys. I've never worked for them, but I walked into an interview with Fresenius. Fresenius is a Fortune 500 company. Infosys is also very big, but I was personally more interested in doing a job with Fresenius because that was hardcore finance. I was a CA. I am a CA. So yes, when I walked into this interview for Fresenius, I showed them my offer letter from Infosys and it helped me get the job. So remember, necessity never made a good bargain. The more easily you can walk away from a negotiation, the greater your power. So your job here is to develop your BATNA, because that will probably raise that minimum that you're ready to settle with. Always develop your BATNA before negotiating. Without BATNA, you're negotiating blindly. They may start attacking you personally with every solution you offer. You don't want to be in that situation. You just want a fair solution, but they tear down all of your ideas. It's natural to defend yourself, but that leads nowhere. You push, they push back, and soon you're stuck. So what do you do in a scenario like this? Then you have to use negotiation martial art. What do I mean by that? See, I'll teach you how to do that. So when they ask you what they want, instead of answering in a yes or no, why don't you ask them why they want it? Let them explain, and you can keep your questions open-ended. Don't ask questions that can be answered with a yes or no, okay? So you don't have to resort to saying yes or no, and you don't have to let them resort to saying yes or no. Ask them why are they asking for what they're asking. Because then they get to explain their point and they get to break it down. And sometimes what will happen is that they will understand that they are sounding stupid. But most of the times they'll be able to. But then you'll have better comebacks for every point that they mention to you. Understand what is really important to them. Okay, this is what you have to gauge from the conversation that is happening then in the moment. 2, if they keep rejecting all your ideas or anything that you say, then ask for their advice. If you were me, what would you do? They will put themselves in your shoes and give you solutions, and it will help you. Next thing is invite criticism. Instead of defending your ideas, ask them, what's wrong with what I suggested, or what's wrong with my idea? This will help you learn about their interests. And again, focus on the interest and not on the person. That is what we learned in point number 1. I will conclude with a story. A Japanese businessman and his young daughter were sitting in a park in Paris and enjoying a game of chess. The game seemed intense, with both players carefully studying each move. Gradually, people in the park began gathering to watch. Intrigued by the father-daughter match, the pair's concentration and friendly smiles showed they were equally absorbed in the game. After several minutes, a curious onlooker stepped forward and asked, "Pardon me, I can't help but wonder who's winning." The father looked up and smiled, replying, "We are not trying to win. We are learning from each other." This is the aim of negotiation in short for you. In negotiations, asking who's winning is like asking that in a marriage. If you're focused on winning, you've already missed the point. The real goal is working together and finding a solution that satisfies both parties' interests. Did this video help you? Let me know in the comments below and tell me which of these 4 tactics I taught you about helped you the most. And also, do not forget to subscribe if you like this video and share it with somebody you care about. I wish you luck in all your future endeavors, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.